Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. George Baltakian here, real estate agent in Los Angeles. Today in this video, we're gonna be covering ground leases. What is a ground lease and what you need to know about it, whether you're a landlord or a tenant looking to lease the space to operate your business. So here we go. A ground lease is essentially just what it sounds like. It's a lease of the ground itself or the land itself, which means oftentimes there's no existing structure on the land, there's no building on the land, or if it is, it might be a tear down or need serious work to be done on it. The tenant is simply leasing the ground itself. And so the responsibility of building a structure actually falls on the tenant. So they would lease the land for a long term, usually 50 years or 99 years even, and they would build the structure themselves that would be perfectly suited to the business they want to operate. So oftentimes ground leases are used by McDonald's or Starbucks, and they have a very specific architecture and vision for their structures, so they're able to build from the ground up once they get into these long-term leases. And so keep in mind there's usually some increases to the rent over time to adjust for inflation, or sometimes the increases are based on percentage or consumer price index. There's different ways to handle that aspect, but there is often increases in place to account for the long time element in these ground leases. All expenses are passed through to the tenant, so landlords are really hands off. They don't have to worry about much. The tenant would pay the property taxes, the insurance, the maintenance of the property, any aspect related to the property, the tenant would be responsible for paying once they lease the ground. It's worth noting that the IRS doesn't allow owners of the land to depreciate the value of improvements when they're engaged in a ground lease. However, when the ground lease is over and the tenant vacates, whatever structure they had built upon the land actually reverts back to the landlord. So then you'd be able to claim depreciation at that point. Consult your tax advisor, of course, before getting into any of this. But the general tax situation is that the landlord can't claim depreciation on the improvements until the lease is over and they revert back to the landlord's ownership. Like I said, the benefit to the owner, it's very hands-off, passive investment that's very, very long-term. And if you get a national tenant, so some type of large franchise business like McDonald's or Starbucks or Wendy's, it's a very stable income generating lease structure. For the tenants, the big benefit would be that they would be able to expand more quickly and gain market share. Keep in mind, this type of lease is used by national tenants with franchise business models, such as McDonald's, such as Starbucks, and many, many others. And this is a huge benefit because they don't have to deploy all the capital to purchase land. They're able to expand very quickly and gain market share in emerging markets rapidly because they don't have to deploy as much capital to buy land. They could just lease it and start the next location and the next and the next. Ground leases are pretty interesting. There's a lot of different lease structures and it can get quite complicated. So if you need any help or advice on these leases, please reach out to our team. If you need any insight on the Los Angeles real estate market, we're here to advise you. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.